So, I'm a scientist, a physicist to be exact. I always get this question, what do you typically do routinely at work? I usually point to those pictures. Of course, you can't understand any of the pictures, but to summarize, I conduct scientific research, and I help our human race to understand the nature and the universe just a little bit more. Now here comes the question, what exactly is science? I think if you ask this question to 1,000 different people, you'll get 1,000 different answers. And I think this is one of my favorite answers, is what is science? I think science is a way of discovering what's in the universe and how those things work today and how they worked in the past and how they are likely to work in the future. If you look back in the history of the science, it is amazing that today, how much science, how much knowledge we have acquired through the 6,000 years or maybe less than that of scientific research. If you ask a 10-year-old kid the amount of knowledge, science, and concept that he can grasp is far more than not 100 years ago, probably a decade ago, than most of the famous, the greatest scientists. So that's science. But to answer the question, where will science take us to? This is a very difficult question. I think before we answer this question, we should look back in the history to see how the science started. Well, a lot of people, well, a lot of scientists, they consider Aristotle as the very first scientist on this planet. That was 300, 400 BC. And through about more than 2,000 years of scientific discovery and research until the great Isaac Newton, they really built up what we call the classical mechanics. And back in about the end of 19th century, people or scientists on this planet thought that we knew everything, pretty much everything, except for two little clouds that I list here, is whether there's existence of ether. Okay, that's where light travels in the media that the light travels. And the second one is more complicated one. So if you could travel back 100 years, 140 years to ask the scientists there, you give them the science growth chart, which is the scientific level versus time. You ask them where we are right now, back in the late 19th century. I believe 99.99% of the scientists will give you this place. They would think science has reached to a plateau, that there's not a lot of stuff to be discovered. But when we look back today, that was 150 years ago. Of course, we know it was right here. And the two little clouds brought us the two greatest achievements in 20th century. That was the theory of relativity, which talks about space and time relation. And then quantum mechanics. That was by Niels Bohr. And those two discoveries really changed the entire society, changed our lives for the next 140 years or so. You may wonder, you've heard of these two theories, so what did they bring us? This is a very profound question, and I can only give you a couple of examples. So what quantum mechanics brought us? Those two things, the laptop, the phones, transistors, any electronic devices, it cannot exist if not for quantum mechanics. and of course, the internet. Okay, the way we can do TEDx today, and we can broadcast internationally on YouTube, on whatever, all of those were based on quantum mechanics. And of course, if you travel, you have to take a plane. If you travel to outer space, you might want to take a space rocket. All of them are dependent on quantum mechanics. Of course, the theory of relativity, they brought us something as well. For example, the GPS. If it's not for the relativities, there's no way to pinpoint where we are right now. And of course, the nuclear power, it all has something relation to the relativity. So, what did those two things, the greatest achievements in 21st century brought us? What did it change? This is a picture that was taken about 100 years ago at Shanghai Bund. And this is a picture that was taken today. That was the change through 120-something years. It's a great change. Now it comes to this question. Well, we are right now in terms of the scientific level. Still on this chart, are we entering a scientific plateau that nothing that needs to be discovered? Before I answer this question, I'd like to take you back to the history of the Earth, of the universe. And we can vividly see how does that 150 years turn into the entire history of the Earth. Okay? Let's see. So we now know the age of the Earth, it's about 4.5, 4.6 billion years. If we turn that 4.5 billion years into 1 year of calendar, okay, with the birth of the Earth on the very first day, and then it's going to take 11 months for us to get the very first animal. That was a long time. And then it'll be on the December 26th when the dinosaur, the age was gone, was killed. That was on December 26th. And it was only on the very last day, on the last hour, it was 11:36 p.m., that human race started to show up. So we really occupied a very, very short history of the Earth, of the universe. And then as the science starts to get rolling, that was 11:59 at 30 seconds. That was the Stonehenge was built. And then at the very, very last second, that was everything that I just talked about. The past 150 years that we had discovered relativity. We had discovered quantum mechanics. And those two things really help us transcend our lives, of not the socially, and get us a way to go into space. So if you take all of this into consideration, where do you think we are in terms of the science? Because right now, we don't have two clouds above our scientific buildings. We have many clouds that there's no way to solve them at this point. For example, what is dark energy? What is dark matter? You know, the pure existence of us, of the universe, it is a coincidence. Nobody knows why we really exist, because it has a profound meaning in physics. It relates to what we call the charge parity violation. And then why is the universe inflates at a speed that is faster than light? This is really intriguing question, and questions that we don't have an answer yet. But as we push our science to the front, I think maybe in the future, in the near future or in the far distant future, we will have an understanding and solve these questions. And I truly believe for the past 150 years we've done so much, and I think we're still on an exponential curve in terms of the scientific level. So to answer you, where will science take us to? I think in the future, I don't know when, but our life will be like this. We can make a spaceship like the droplet in the three-body movie. It can go really, really fast, and it'll take us to outer space, to wherever you want. I'm very positive that in the future, our human being, our mankind, can travel to outer space. The question is, I don't know why. I don't know when. Thank you.